Hello and welcome back to our final forum of the day. We are going to chat with our candidates from District 8, City of Sheboygan Aldermanic District. I just want to say thank you to both of you for participating and for your willingness to serve in this capacity. We certainly appreciate when folks are willing to step outside of their comfort zone and do something different that is going to represent our community in such a big way. So thank you for that. So real quick, how we will conduct this is I will give each of you 2 minutes to do an introduction of yourselves. We will go through and answer a series of questions. I'll do my best to go back and forth as much as possible to keep it fair. And if at any time after you've had a chance to give your 2-minute response, if you'd like an additional 30 seconds to respond to your opponent, just let me, feel free to interject and we can give you an additional 30 seconds in that space. Our wonderful friends from WSCS are also helping with timekeeping. So if anybody gets a little too long-winded, they are going to give you a little notification to say, hey, go ahead and start wrapping it up. With that, I want to say welcome to Zach Rust, incumbent in District 8, and Jesse Roethel. Right? I said that right?
Yes, yes.
Of course, now that it's time for me to say it on camera, I have confused myself. And Jesse Roethel, who is running for District 8 Aldermanic District. So thank you to you both again. And with that, Jesse, I will ask you to give us an introduction. Tell us who you are.
Thank you. Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce and all involved for giving the candidates the opportunity to speak today and let the voters know more about who we are. I am Jesse Roethel, and I am running for Alderman in the 8th District of Sheboygan. I am proud to be born and raised in Sheboygan. I graduated from Sheboygan Lutheran High School. I have a business degree as well as a sport and entertainment management degree and a marketing minor from Concordia University of Wisconsin. I work as a quality control technician, and I have been doing that for over 11 years now. I attend Crossroads Community Church. I support our troops and police, and I want to do my part to help serve others in our community by serving them with transparency and integrity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jesse. Zach.
Thank you, Chamber of Commerce, for hosting this event. It's another great opportunity for us to inform voters how we feel about certain topics affecting the city. I'm the current alder for District 8 and have been since 2022. I've served on a wide range of committees while on the City Council. I became an Eagle Scout in 2012, and I completed my electrical apprenticeship in 2019. I'm a union electrician with the IBEW 494, and I'm also an executive board member for my local union. I've lived in Sheboygan for 7 years with my wife, Mackenzie, and she's from the area, and I moved here for her. I consider Sheboygan my home, and I wouldn't live anywhere else. We bought our first home 5 years ago, and we now share that with 2 rescue dogs and 2 rescue cats. I'm also a member of First Congregational United Church of Christ, and I have a passion for making change in the city and helping those in need. I'm dedicated to helping Sheboygan move forward, and my experience in construction and the trades has given me a different perspective and new ideas to the council. This benefits me in my work on the Department of Public Works, Architectural Review Board, and Board of License Examiners. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zach. So Jesse, I'll ask you first, why you? What made you decide to run for public office, and what makes you the most qualified candidate?
Because I'm proud to be a Sheboygan resident, and I have decided that now is the time that I can do more to help serve the people of our community. I want to fight to keep our community a safe place to live. I know many people within our district and city, and I can relate to the issues that affect all of us, and I want every decision I make to be based on integrity and common sense, knowing that these decisions will impact our entire community. My college degrees, as well as my experience at work in quality control and tough decision making, will all help me as alderman. I want to help my constituents get answers to their questions in any way that I can.
Thank you. Zach.
Like I said before, I have a passion for making change and helping those in the city. The city is going through a big change right now with housing and trying to build businesses up in our city. I think that I'm the best qualified to do that because I've been on council for the last 2 years and helped start to institute those changes. And I really enjoy making connections and having phone calls and meeting with people in their places to know what they think about the city and, you know, things that we're passing or talking about in the council and how to better represent the constituents that are in District 8 and for making choice votes during that time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So Zach, we'll start with you. What element currently of our city government do you believe is the most effective and why?
So for me personally, I believe the most effective element is for most, if not all of the alders, to be able to get back to their constituents. I personally have a 24-hour policy where if I am not able to email or call you back with an answer within 24 hours, I'm going to let you know that I don't have an answer, but I'm going to get to you as soon as I can. We also have a great department leads. We have great department heads. We got a new city administrator who's very invested in this community and wants to help develop this city the way that it should be developed moving forward between housing and building businesses, I said before.
Thank you. Jesse?
Could you ask the question again, please?
Absolutely. What element of our city government do you believe is most effective currently and why?
I think it's the fact that it's sort of three heads. You know, you have the mayor, the city administrator, and then the common council, you know, serving the people of their districts. And I think, you know, it kind of keeps any one person from taking too much power, you know, trying to overreach in areas they shouldn't. So I just want to be part of that and, you know, be a voice to the people in our district, you know, and make sure that I'm addressing the issues that they've brought to me or they will bring to me, you know, answer their questions and just make, you know, the city in general a better place for all of us to be a part of.
Thank you so much. And Jesse, to continue, what is one part of city government that you believe would receive more attention if you are elected to this district?
So one thing that I really want to focus on is just being more transparent and involving, you know, the community. Everybody's voice deserves to be heard, and I think that transparency is important. I think that, you know, holding different listening sessions in ways that we can communicate with the community and, you know, answer their questions, listen to their concerns, so that, you know, any decision we make is, you know, based off of the community and not based off of my interest or his interest or anybody else, because ultimately, you know, we answer to the people, and that's what I really want to focus on.
Thank you so much. Zach?
One more time for the question.
What one part of the city government would receive more attention if you are reelected?
So I've really focused these last 2 years on roads and infrastructure for the city. In the last 2 years, I've helped pass 15 roads be built in the city. For a 4 or 5 year stretch, we didn't build any infrastructure for our city. And it really showed. And now that we are actually playing catch up and we're starting to get where we need to, as far as our city roads and infrastructure, it really is making a difference for residents. We've just passed a complete streets ordinance, which not only helps maintain our roads, but also expands our sidewalks, sidewalk repair, and our bike lanes as well. I would also like to see housing continue to be a big issue in the city and expanding upon that and making it so it's not just apartment buildings, but single-family homes for people to purchase and live in as well.
Great. Thank you so much. And so to switch gears just a little bit, let's talk about, well, more development and taxes. I mean, those are two really fun topics, right? We'll start with you, Zach. Cities need to grow and expand their tax base to survive. How would you support development and redevelopment, and specifically taking a look at the South Point Enterprise Campus, which has been largely undeveloped for several years? What will you do to get things going there?
So the thing with the South Point Enterprise was Aurora owns a large chunk of that. And just recently, in the last year or so, they've allowed us to create a plan to build a road to connect the two roads that end in between their plot of land. By being able to connect those two roads, we are creating an infrastructure system that allows it becomes lucrative. Businesses are going to want to utilize that area because they'll have the ability to bring trucks, semis, and other important essential items for warehouses or factories. We also have to continue to support our local businesses. We lost an expansion from a local business a few years ago, and it's still or a year or so ago, and that really irks me, but it really makes me happy to see companies like HTT. We worked with them. We gave them South 19th Street so that they can continue to expand their factory operations in the city of Sheboygan, where it should be their home base. We have to continue to strive to create more housing because that's necessary. We can't have businesses expanding and building if we don't have the workers to fill the factories or warehouses or the office buildings. It's a hard thing to do, but we can do it. We've been utilizing tax incremental districts. These are important, and they help incentivize businesses to develop local plots that are not being utilized right now.
Thank you, Zach. Jesse, cities need to grow and expand their tax base to survive. How will you support development and redevelopment? And specifically looking at South Point Enterprise Campus, what would you do maybe differently to get things moving in the right direction there?
So I think South Point is definitely a good start, and we have to continue to work on that. And I would, again, ask the community exactly what kind of things they would like to see, develop in our city, and also ask businesses and developers, what they're looking for. And I also think that, a lot of things play into the development. If we have more businesses come here, we need to be able to have the workforce to, work at these places. So I think housing and affordable childcare are definitely items that we need to also focus on to help. It's a sort of a side thing that helps with the development. And then, if we have the housing, then we can show people, the assets that Sheboygan has to offer to help, get them to come here to be able to work those jobs. And, economic development, housing, the workforce, they obviously all go hand in hand. And I think also building better relationships with our business community and with the developers, assisting them, not getting in their way, any more than we have to. We want to, be their ally, not be fighting them and making it hard for them to develop in our area. So just being more of a friend and doing anything we can to simplify things to help the development happen.
Great, thank you so much. And to continue down that path, Jesse, would you care to share with us what amenities do you think that we're missing right now in the city of Sheboygan that could encourage development or workforce or all of the above?
Yeah, so I think the two big things is housing of all different levels of housing, and again affordable childcare because again, they're so strongly connected to each other. So if we can, and housing isn't something that we can fix overnight. It's a long-term thing, but it's definitely something that we can build on and continue to work on. And once we have that at a better place where we can, show people, hey, this is Sheboygan. We have the housing, we have the childcare, we have the entertainment and the restaurants. This is a great place for you to raise your family. I feel like development is just a natural thing that comes from that.
Thank you. Zach?
I think Sheboygan has great amenities right now. We have great restaurants, we have a great beachfront, we have wonderful parks. I agree with Jesse in saying that, childcare is obviously a big thing. People want to raise their families. They need a place to send their children if they're working. I do agree too also that housing is a big issue. We need all levels of housing. We need single family, we need multi, we need apartment complexes, we need all levels at all price ranges. I know that the Aurora site in District 2 is going to be a big thing coming up in the next few years, and we need to make sure that we keep holding Aurora's feet to the fire a little bit about developing that the way that the neighborhood wants it to be developed. And we also need to continue to work with building on the Garden farm and developing that so we can create more housing of all kinds on that land for our local populace and to bring in more populace so that we can fill these jobs. And everything else will follow with that. The great restaurants, the great businesses, the local shops. We already have all those great things, but there's always room for expansion on that.
Thank you. And to continue to talk a little bit about amenities, and I will start with you, Zach. There have been some recent changes in the management of the Harbor Center Marina, which is owned by the city of Sheboygan, closing the pool area, restaurant, bar, and store that was in that building. What do you believe is the next best course of action to revitalize that area, and how can the city better activate and enhance our waterfront?
So historically, the marina has not been profitable, but the goal is for the pool, the bar, restaurant, and the store to be hopefully only closed this year. The city now fully controls that. We need to create a new plan. We have a study that we're investing in to see how we can better deal with the ice issues that we have in the marina and those kinds of things. It's a great opportunity. We got the P1 offshore boat races last year because they wanted to come here to Sheboygan. Mercury's just down the road in Fond du Lac. We need to continue to show big companies that, you know, we're willing to invest in the infrastructure, and they're going to want to come back into us. The marina is a perfect example of how we can revitalize that, and not at the same scale. It's going to have to be smaller, but revitalize the marina and make it more inclusive to all of our residents, not just if you own a boat or a yacht or any of those kinds of things, but we truly have an opportunity to revitalize the area and make it open and inclusive to all our Sheboygan residents.
Thank you, Zach. Jesse? There have been some recent changes in management of the Harbor Center Marina, which is owned by the city of Sheboygan, closing the pool area, restaurant, bar, and store in that building. What do you believe is the next best course of action to revitalize that area? And how do you think that the city could better activate and enhance our waterfront?
So yeah, obviously our marina and our lake is a huge asset to all of us here. And I go back to just making sure that we're always getting the community input and have our citizens, you know, have a direct influence on how we move forward with the marina, and make sure that this project makes sense financially and have it, you know, not be a money pit for years to come for us, because if we make bad decisions on it, that could happen. And ultimately, it needs to end in results that make sense for the people who actually live in Sheboygan and not just for tourists. You know, I know that there's both sides to that, but if it's just a tourist, you know, thing where we're not listening to our local residents, I don't like that idea at all. And then, you know, there's definitely things, and right now I don't have the answers, but, you know, we need to find more ways that we can have our marina generate more revenue and help pay for itself, you know, in the long run.
Great. Thank you so much, Jesse. So, Jesse, we'll continue with you. We are facing a housing crisis, which we have brought up several times throughout today's conversations. How would you, as a council member, help to facilitate meeting our housing needs in the city of Sheboygan?
Sorry, could you just repeat the last part of that?
Sure. How could you, as a council member, help to facilitate meeting our housing needs?
Yeah, so obviously we have shortages. I've walked through throughout the entire District 8, you know, going door to door talking to people, and I've seen dozens of vacant houses, and I guess I want to see what I can do to encourage those homeowners. You know, I'm assuming some of them need to get fixed up before they're ready to go on the market. But I guess that's, you know, one of the things is there's lots of current empty houses and buildings in the city, and if we can encourage the homeowners to put those on the market, obviously that is a good thing. And then, you know, there is 1 or 2 different apartment complexes and buildings in the works right now, so just to continue on with that. And again, it's a long-term process, so it's not something that we can fix today, but you know, that doesn't mean that today we can't continue working on it, and then in the long run, hopefully, you know, get to where we want to be.
Thank you so much. Zach?
So currently, we have 250 homes that sit vacant most of the year. They're Airbnb rentals, and we need to either change the board tax or so that they are rented out most of the year, or we need to work with those property owners and explain to them that we can't have these houses sitting empty, because it's taking away 250 homes that could possibly be housing or affordable housing for people. We have to continue to utilize TIDs, tax incremental districts, because they incentivize development on an example would be Kite Beach. It's a DNR barren wasteland. Nobody's willing to touch that, was willing to touch that land until we were able to make a tax incremental district for it. By us being able to invest in those properties, in those areas, it allows us to fill vacant lots. It allows us to work with developers to create housing for all levels, whether it be low, middle, or high income housing, apartments, single family homes. We need it all, like I've said just recently. But we also need to work with, you know, the people that do own these homes and that let them sit for empty most of the year, because that's not fair to people who are renting and who want to, you know, be a part of, you know, this community.
Thank you. And to, Jesse, give you an opportunity to talk a little bit more about that as well as it relates to the short-term rental piece. You know, we do have an influx of short-term rentals, Airbnbs, Verbos, what have you, in the area. Where do you stand on short-term rentals, and what do you think can be done to make that look different?
Well, yeah, that's the unfortunate thing is, you know, I'm sure that they're booked like crazy through the summertime, but in the winter and, you know, down season, they're sitting empty. So it's not that I'm totally opposed to it, but we need to find a way to balance it out better where, again, yeah, we don't have X amount of houses just sitting empty for so much of the year when there could be people living in those houses that are instead, you know, forced to pay much higher rent somewhere else, you know, just based on supply and demand when all these houses are unfortunately sitting empty. So it's definitely something that needs to be addressed.
Thank you so much. And I'll stay with you, Jesse, for, you know, to talk a little bit more about, well, housing and homelessness. We'll transition to homelessness. You know, and I can't tell you that I have facts and figures because I don't, so I won't pretend that I do, but you know, there appears, or what appears to be, an influx of homelessness in the city of Sheboygan, you know, really specifically occupying the downtown area, the library, city parks. Do you believe that this is a problem? You know, is it something that you've noticed, and how do you think that we go about making some changes there?
It is something that I've noticed, yeah, you know, around the library and the parks, and I know that the Salvation Army, I believe, helps, you know, these people, and we have the warming shelter, and I see different numbers. I feel like in any given night in the winter, there's 30-some, 40-some people that are taking advantage of, you know, the warming shelter, and it definitely is an issue. And would I prefer not to see these people, you know, sleeping out on the streets? And of course, and we need to find a way that we can encourage these people. You know, maybe some of these people just feel like they're down on their luck, and some of them still, you know, could work a good job and be able to make, you know, ends meet for themselves. If we can kind of find a way to pick them up and give them a little boost to start them, you know, get going again, that ultimately in the long run they're self-dependent and, you know, can have their own house, I think that's definitely something that I would like to see.
Great, thank you. Zach?
Yeah, I mean, we obviously do. I know also I have friends that are on the Sheboygan County Board, and from what I understand, there has been a task force that has been created for it. I would ask that the county to have aldermen be a part of that. I'm not saying all 10 of us need to be involved in that, but I would say that we need to have at least 2 or 3 on there just so that the city has a voice on this task force. I know that we have funded a resource officer in the library to help these people with their addiction problems, give them opportunity to reach out and get the help that they need, whether it be a warming shelter or a place to sleep overnight. I know that it's always hard because there are some people that just don't want help, and it's always hard to work with those kinds of people, but we gotta keep at it and keep trying to help those people, because if we aren't at least making the effort, then that says more about us as a city and a county than it does, just letting people do whatever they want, wherever they want.
Can I?
Absolutely, yes.
If there is a task force, I'm definitely glad to hear that. And yeah, I mean, I don't have the answers right now, but I definitely think that the Common Council should have some capacity that they're interacting with that task force and being part of it. And I definitely would, like to learn more about that and see what we could do, because the more people involved, obviously, the more help that we can get. And sadly, yeah, some people maybe don't want the help, but I think my hope would be that a lot of them, if we can push them in the right direction and get them, interacting with the exact people that they maybe do need, help from, that at least give them, a fighting chance to get on their own feet again and get going and get the help that they need to move in a better direction.
Sure. Thank you so much. Jesse, the city of Sheboygan gets 0.5% of sales tax from the county of Sheboygan. Do you believe that the city of Sheboygan is getting its fair share of that tax, or do you think that that should look different?
I guess I would say for now, I think that things should probably stay how they are, and that it probably is the fair share. But in the future, maybe that wouldn't be the case. And I guess one thing I will say is I want to do my part as part of the Common Council to not have to raise any taxes, and to make sure that every dollar that we are spending is being spent very wisely and in a very good way, knowing that going forward, every decision, is affecting the city for years to come. So I just want to try to make as many financially responsible decisions as possible to set us up for a brighter future as a city.
Great, thank you so much. Zach?
I've actually talked with Elaine Kraus, the county administrator, as well as some county board supervisors as well about this. I do not think we get a fair share of it. The city of Sheboygan produces 50% of the economic output for the county, and the money we receive is not equivalent of that. We need to be able to keep developing our infrastructure and our roads, because if we aren't able to do that, then the county won't get half of it, 50% of its economic output that it needs. We need more money for our infrastructure and for our roads to unlock the potential that the city of Sheboygan does have. I would like to see more communication between the county and the city. I know it's always hard because there are a lot of county supervisors, and there's only 10 of us with the mayor and city administrator, so there's 12 of us total, and it can be a daunting task, but we still have to hold their feet to the fire about this, because this is a really important item that everybody cares about. We always need more roads. We live in Wisconsin. Winters are hard. We got blessed this year, but this is not a normal year. I'm sure next year we'll be back to our standard winter snow.
Thank you. And I will direct this to you, Zach. Switching gears a little bit with a series of impending lawsuits relating to HR situations. What can the City and Common Council do, or what programs could potentially be installed moving forward to avoid similar future lawsuits?
So the good news is we have a great new HR director that started this year, or last year, I'm sorry, last October. We're creating a more robust and profound HR handbook for the city. We don't want people to ever feel like they're being threatened at work or that they're being wrongfully either terminated or wrongfully penalized for whatever reason. But we need to make sure that it's fair across the board, whether you are the director of public works or if you are the mayor or Scott behind the camera right there. Everybody needs to have the same rules, same standards, and everything like that. If we don't have it fair, then it creates a power dynamic for directors and everybody else that can lead to these issues.
Okay. Jesse.
So I've heard a lot of good things about the new city administrator, and I know we have the new HR director, and unfortunately I feel like, yeah, the current Common Council, far too many of them have made poor decisions in terms of voting to fire this person or do this to that person, and I think that they were looking too much at their own personal interests, and that's not something that I'm going to do. We need to look at, you know, the interest of the city. And when we make a vote to get rid of somebody because we might not like them, but yet we're going to, you know, get ourselves involved in potentially maybe a multi-million-dollar lawsuit, ultimately it's not the Common Council members that are paying for that, it's the taxpayer that's paying for it. And that's not right. That's not right. Unfortunately, that is what it is, but like the Common Council needs to make smarter decisions when it comes to that, so that we don't get ourselves involved in these lawsuits. And I think, you know, transparency and common sense goes a long way in making those decisions.
30 seconds, sure.
Yep. So I disagree with Jesse on the the former city administrator's termination. In closed session, we received a report from an independent reporter, and we as a council made a decision. 8 of us made a decision, and that lawsuit has now been thrown out. 95% of it has been thrown out. That report is now free to the public, and I would encourage anybody to read it.
Thank you.
The thing is 95% might have got thrown out, but how much money is the 5% that might still go through going to cost the taxpayer?
Well, the good news is we're countersuing all that money back, and we have an insurance system in place that covers that, and we max out at $60,000 for a payout.
But we haven't gotten any of the money back, right? That's just a
Not
countersuit
yet.
that's still pending, so that most likely will never happen.
We've spent $60,000, and that is it.
Thank you so much. So to kind of switch gears, we'll take it to a lighter space. Jesse, we'll start with you. What do you believe the city can do or maybe do differently to help grow and enhance engagement with its citizens?
You just mean as far as getting more people to move here, or just interacting better with who we have here?
I would say let's start with interacting better with whom we have here.
I think a big part of that is making sure that all the aldermen are answering the constituents' questions, getting them good answers, listening to them, and we have a city full of smart people, and I think if we listen to the people and base our decisions accordingly, that will go a long way for us.
Thank you. Zach?
I would agree. Like I said in the beginning, I have a 24-hour policy. I also regularly attend Farnsworth Neighborhood Association meetings. I know that a lot of alders in other districts attend those their local neighborhood association meetings. I think those are important, and I would like to continue to develop those in my district and have, more direct contact with those people, because those people really do care about their neighborhoods, and that's an easy way for us as elected representatives to talk with neighbors in our district.
Thank you so much. And as we're getting ready to kind of wrap things up, I'll ask you, Zach, what is your vision for the future of Sheboygan? What changes would you advocate for, and why should people vote for you?
So my vision for the future of Sheboygan is basically we have to stay the course. I see a smaller but revitalized marina that helps our beachfront. I see more housing. I see Acuity. I see Kohler. I see HDT. I see a lot of these great businesses expanding. I see the city growing in a great and healthy direction. Why you should vote for me is I bring experience. For the last 2 years, I've served on a lot of committees. I was voted by my peers to be the committee of the whole chair last year. I'm the chair for the Board of License Examiners, vice chair for Department of Public Works. I'm the new chair for Licensing, Hearings, and Public Safety Committee. I also serve on the Mayor's International Committee and Architectural Review Board. And like I said before, I love interacting with my constituents. I love having those conversations. And I would appreciate the support on April 2nd. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Zach. Jesse.
Could you ask the question again?
Absolutely. What is your vision for the future of Sheboygan, and what changes would you advocate for, and why should people vote for you?
So I think public safety is an important thing going forward, that we must keep drugs and crime out of Sheboygan. People deserve to feel safe here and be safe while they're here. We have a beautiful lakefront, and our location, short location to many things such as Milwaukee and Green Bay for professional sports teams. And then we can build upon these things by continuing to keep public safety a top priority. And why people should vote for me is I really am focused on transparency, answering people's questions, letting people know, as much as we can tell them, and integrity, being honest, common sense decision making. So for those reasons, I'd appreciate their vote on April 2nd.
Great, thank you so much. So thank you again for spending the day with us, and thank you to Jesse and Zach for coming in and being a part of this candid conversation. Really appreciate, again, your willingness to talk with me, but also to serve in this capacity. Wishing you both the best of luck. Early voting started yesterday, and we head to, if you're not going to do early voting, then April 2nd, you should head to the polls and vote in your local elections. I think that, we don't focus enough on local elections, and these are the very people that are impacting our daily lives more than any of our elected officials. So it's very important that we're having these conversations, and it's very important that we're communicating in this way. And even more so, it's your civic duty to get out and vote. So please do so. Thank you again to WSCS for spending the day with us as well as yesterday. Scott and I have spent a lot of time together in the last 48 hours. And also to our annual Governmental Affairs and Advocacy sponsor here at the Sheboygan County Chamber of Commerce, who is Prevea Health. We appreciate the continued support, and thank you all. Have a wonderful rest of the day.